Hey there, this is Michael with the general reading intended for Cancer Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus for the month of May 2020. I do hope that this video finds you well and in good spirits, and if it doesn't, I hope that it offers some tools and reflections for whatever challenges you find yourself facing for the month ahead. I do have an accompanying blog post to this video, which is linked down below. It is the Astrological Forecast for the month of May, and we have a lot of things that are going to be happening this month. We have 3 planets going retrograde: Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter, as well as the North Node entering into Gemini, which only happens every 18 months. Let me rephrase, the North Node changes signs every 18 months. So it's kind of a big deal when that happens. It usually has a pretty profound implication for the collective at large. And I'm not going to go over all of this in this video today. If you are interested in learning about what is going to be happening, not only for May, but really for the months and even the rest of the year ahead, I highly recommend that you check out that blog. Again, that is linked down below, as well as links for personal readings and Reiki sessions, which are currently being offered at 20% off. And you can also follow me on my social media where I post messages of the day. I also have updates and announcements, and occasionally I do giveaways and discounts. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any exciting offers or news, I highly, highly recommend that you follow me on my other social media. And of course, I do want to thank all of you who have hit like and subscribe on these videos and to this channel. It really, really does help this channel grow, and all of the shares and comments, again, it really allows me to reach as many people as possible, and it's just been such a gift to be able to do this work. So thank you all so, so much. I really have felt so welcome on YouTube, and I hope you feel as welcome on this channel. I am really curious to see what we have for you this month, Cancer, so I'm going to start shuffling. And as I do that, I just want to give my friendly reminder that this is a general reading, meaning not all of the messages that come forward are going to be meant for you specifically. It is up to your own intuition and discernment to figure out what applies to your own life and what should be left behind for somebody else. If this does not resonate, or you would like greater clarity on something, you're more than welcome to take a look at your videos for your moon, rising, or Venus signs. And if you don't know what those are, you can also use the natal chart calculator in the description box down below. That should be able to help you out. So we do have one card already on the table here for you, Cancer. We do have this 10 of Pentacles in the reverse, and no surprise here, a lot of you may be feeling like you've lost your sense of stability, or your foundation is feeling really wobbly right now, especially at home, with your family, or with work. Those are kind of the areas I'm really seeing that with the 10 of Pentacles specifically. Some of you are feeling just kind of like, it's almost like you're feeling a bit like a misfit, actually, and you don't know who to connect to. You don't feel like you have a home. I am picking up on that for a lot of you. What else do we have here? We do have the Empress card that fell out. Some of you may be dealing with a Taurus or possibly a Libra. I feel like even if things aren't necessarily looking so great in your external reality, I do feel like there are blessings that are coming in for you. And you're kind of in this receptive state here. Some of you are really trying to find a place that feels comfortable. So funny, we were just talking about receptivity. 4 of Cups in the reverse. I'll get to that. Some of you are really trying to find the sense of comfort, because your sense of stability has been really shaken. Pretty much the whole world's has in the past couple of months. But this is still something that you can find, but it's going to be inside of yourself. And this is showing up in your heart, this Empress energy. And someone may be offering something to somebody else. It could be you offering something to someone or them offering to you, and the other party just doesn't see it or receive it right away. Although, with this being in the reverse, some of you are finally lifting your head up, turning away from the past to see that there is a new blessing, a new opportunity here, and maybe it's finding the silver lining in your current situation. Maybe it's you acknowledging the ways you've been supported or helped. I would even say writing a gratitude journal each day is very, very useful. And I know I've recommended that to you a few times, Cancer. But the way that that works is by writing out things you are grateful for, even if it's very, very small. Doesn't need to be big things. It can even be as small as, I'm so glad that the light is shining through the window right now. I'm really comfortable in this chair that I'm sitting in. It doesn't matter if the ego deems that inconsequential. What counts is that you're looking for things that make you feel good. And you'll notice as you're doing this exercise, you start looking for more and more things. And it actually helps you attract more things that feel good to you. And maybe even make you feel abundant and taken care of. Because some of you just haven't been seeing this, or haven't been able to receive it. And that could have to do with a family situation, that could have to do with a work situation, but I actually feel like for a lot of you, it's something that fell away or is going to be falling away, especially in the first half of May, maybe a little bit later on. But it's actually to your benefit. So I don't want you to hear that and kind of freak out like, oh no, is that me? That's not how I see this. I see this as you letting go of certain expectations of how your life has to look in order for you to feel like the Empress here. This could also be a romantic thing for some of you. I'm just seeing this overall pattern of you really changing your perspective, and it's looking really, really good. So often with manifestations, we actually limit ourselves because we think we know what we want. And so much of the energy this month, with all the retrogrades especially, it's not so much trying to say what we want and get that from the universe. Really ask yourself why. What do I think a new job is going to feel like? What do I think a new relationship is going to feel like? Or a relationship with a specific person, even better. Why do you think you want that relationship with that person? What do you want it to feel like? And then really just ask yourself honestly, or look at the situation honestly, is this really what I want? Because a lot of you, what you wanted, you either don't want anymore, or you never even wanted in the first place. And I think you're going to be realizing that this month. And maybe that's also with this Venus retrograde. Because Venus pertains to finances, it pertains to stability, and it also pertains to relationships. Really, really interesting energy so far here. I'm liking this non-traditional way of looking at things. And there's a lot of transformation that's happening for you because Aquarius is your 8th house sign. And we currently have Saturn there. And Saturn is going to be going retrograde. And with this transformation, you're letting go of the way that things have to look, and you're also changing patterns or things that have been given to you. This is really, really specific. And you're making it your own. You may be realizing that you took on patterns from family members or from communities that you thought you outgrew or you didn't even recognize you took on. And when you have this perspective shift, it's like, whoa, I've been doing this to myself. And we do also have a lot of energy in your 12th house, in the sign of Gemini. Especially if you're a Cancer rising, that's going to ring true for a lot of you. And with these 12th house placements, we have Venus going retrograde, we have the North Node, we have the new moon on the 22nd. A lot of things from your subconscious are going to be revealed to you, and you're actually going to be very, very intuitive. And that 8th and 12th house activation, wow, that's big. That's really, really big. And it's also affecting the way that you approach relationships, because we do have Pluto and Jupiter going retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto went retrograde last month on April 25th. And I believe Jupiter is going retrograde, I want to say the 14th? 11th? One of those. I have the exact dates for everything, again, in the blog post, which you can find down below. I know it's towards the middle of the month. Oh. Just had a spider drop in here. Working on something, weaving a web. So let's see, we have the Six of Wands. There is a victory here for you. You are celebrating something. You may be having some success with work. Maybe you find a new job, or you're recognized for something. You might get a promotion or a raise or just some praise that feels really good. We do have this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. And for a lot of you, what I'm seeing is, especially with the High Priestess and the Knight of Swords here coming together, it's really important to be fluid during these times. And to release expectations of how things have to look. We were just talking about that for the first half of May. It feels like it's going to be a theme for the whole month, really. Because the Queen of Pentacles is someone who likes to have a very solid and clear plan. And she can get a bit too materialistic if she doesn't keep her energy in check. She's too focused on, well, what does my life look like? How much money do I have? Paying attention to the bank account. And sometimes that can actually make you more anxious. And I'm not saying to spend frivolously. Please don't use that as an excuse to just spend your money willy-nilly, especially with the Venus retrograde. There is a tendency to do that. But if you're feeling really concerned or constrained, I do have this kind of message for you, Cancer, that you're going to be okay. You're going to figure something out. And you kind of just have to follow your intuition here with this Knight of Swords and the High Priestess. Some of you may be talking to, again, an earth sign. We did have that Taurus energy. Could also be a Capricorn or a Virgo. And I also kind of think of Virgo with the High Priestess sometimes too. We could also be dealing with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Libra is coming up pretty strongly, as is Gemini. And you're not quite sure what to think of this person right now. And honestly, Cancer, I don't think you're supposed to know this month, because with Venus being retrograde, it's bringing up a lot of our old patterns with relationships, or bringing issues that have been kind of at the bottom to a boil, bringing them to the surface here. And so I wouldn't make any major decisions in a relationship right now, whether it's brand new or even with someone you've been connected with. Of course, Venus retrograde can kind of act like a make or break energy. But I think for a lot of you, you're not supposed to really know what the outcome is through this reading, because you are supposed to be open. You're not supposed to know some things. And that also does apply to your finances, because this is all about faith. With Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, faith is a big theme this year, and it's being challenged because Capricorn can be a very restrictive energy. And there's a lot of spirituality and a lot of psychic awakenings that are going to be happening, especially for you, Cancer. So your intuition might be really, really strong. And if you want to work with your intuition and intuitive development, this new moon is going to be a really good time for you to kind of commit to that. Because again, it's in your 12th house, your house of spirituality, your house of intuition, of the unknown, of mysteries. I do want to pull some animal cards for you now. Ooh. What is the animal wisdom for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising? What is the animal wisdom for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising? And Venus. We have the crow. Again, intuition is really, really important. And having a spiritual practice. Really meditating and doing these kind of gratitude or mindfulness exercises that we were talking about earlier. Your intuition is going to be so open by the end of this month, Cancer. You might not see things at the beginning of the month very clearly. This earthworm card here. Some of you are feeling very unsure of yourself. Again, this is kind of being pulled out of the ground, pulled out of the comfort zone. And some of you really do need to speak up and say something with both of these cards, because crow is kind of a messenger, and earthworm energy, it usually comes up when someone's having a hard time voicing something. They're afraid of embarrassing themselves or making a fool of themselves. I know this is crazy, but I also feel like some of you may be starting work, like spiritual work, intuitive work. Maybe some of you are even doing what I'm doing, and you've been doubting yourself. But it's really important for you to keep exploring and to actually start making some strides towards that, if that is your situation. You may also be getting assistance or guidance from a deceased loved one. You may be connecting to someone this month specifically. Because I think of mediumship with the crow. And you are being supported. I'm actually kind of getting it is an earth sign energy for some of you. Specifically a Capricorn or someone who... Actually, I'm getting Sagittarius or Capricorn, kind of on the cusp. And obviously, general reading, that's not going to apply to all of you. Just because your loved one isn't that sign, or the person you're thinking of isn't that sign, it doesn't mean that they're not connecting to you. But for this collective, those signs are really coming up pretty strongly for some reason. So Cancer, this month is really about you going back to this ancestor or this relative really quickly. It's because you're changing a family pattern. And things that didn't work in the family, it's like you're kind of the last part of this cycle. You get to change the cycle for the family. And those who have crossed over see that. They see that potential. They see it as something that is needed, even if they didn't while they were alive. And they are now trying to help you help yourself and also help the family members who you are still living with. And this month is really about changing this perspective, this traditional way of looking at things, how you thought your life needed to look. A lot of you took that on from your family. And that could also be applying to relationships. Some of you are dealing with relationship blockages because of family issues or family trauma. And it's like you figuring out what it is that actually makes you feel good, that makes you feel fulfilled. It's not about achievement anymore, it's about fulfillment in all areas of your life, and that feels really, really good. So this month is going to be a really powerful time for you to reflect on all of these things. I do hope that this reading was helpful for you, Cancer. I'm really not getting any more messages at this time. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you think this pattern is that you're changing, what sort of old ways of thinking are kind of being turned on their head. I'd love to hear that. And all of my links are down below if you're interested in a reading or Reiki session. Everything is 20% off. And yeah, I have all of my social media there as well. So be sure to follow me all over the internet and stay in the radar, stay informed, because I'm going to be doing lots of messages throughout the month as well. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Cancer. I'm wishing you a very happy May.